All right, I think we are live now. Just checking here, looks good. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the Blogger Spotlight, where I usually interview bloggers. This week I have a really exciting guest. I'm really excited because actually she's been on the journey with me right from the beginning. Actually, the other day when I was researching just about the interview and getting ready for it, I went back and found our first conversation that we had in Instant Messenger, and it was on July 3rd. I started my blog on July 1st. So she has been with me through the whole thing, coincidentally, and has been an amazing inspiration. Her name is Adina Kroll. I'm going to probably kill her. I don't say her last name right, I'm sure of it. And she is an international business coach, author, and speaker for female entrepreneurs who love money but flinch at asking for it, which is such a common theme these days. She's had a ton of sales experience, and she helps women go beyond just covering their bills and get rich to create an impact. And I have seen some of her work in action. I have worked with her. She's been so great to me and done all kinds of things, and I'm so excited to have her on. So we're going to bring her over, and let's see if I can work these things. I never can. There we are. Yay. Welcome, Adina.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. So we were just saying before we popped on, actually, I had thought of doing, I've had so many crazy thoughts since I started this crazy whirlwind experience. And I think I thought about starting a podcast so many months ago, and Adina was the first person that popped into mind. And I said, hey, I was thinking about doing this podcast sometime in the future, God knows when, and could you please be on? So she said yes. So this was definitely a must-have for me. So I'm certainly excited to hear from you, Adina, and hear all about, what we're talking about basically is how business women undersell themselves and how they get into that rut. So, because I know a lot of us that's what we're focusing on, is building our own empires, and yet we all struggle with that money word. Let's ask for it. So, thanks. I see Jess is on. Jess, she says your voice is echoing. Is it better now, Jess? Hopefully, it's better. Give me a thumbs up if it is.
Is it better if I go? If I turn my volume down?
I don't know. Am I yelling? Sometimes because I have my earbuds in, my husband says I yell. Am I yelling?
If push comes to shove, I can go and get my headphones if it's on my end.
Well, I think it might be me. I get excited and start yelling almost. Oh, Felina is on, my cousin. Yay. Hey, Felina.
I actually had comments. How cool is that?
Oh, you can see them. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, she says
good.
She says we're good. Okay, excellent. So I'm just excited. So let's get popping right in here. So tell me about how you became a business coach, because I think it's such a cool thing. You and I talked about it right in the very beginning, how that all came to be and what that's all about. And so I'd love to hear all about how you started as a business coach.
Do you know what? It's actually really funny that you said earlier that we sort of started speaking on July 3rd. I quit my job back in end of February 2018. So that's when I quit my job, but I did the business coaching side for a while. And basically it was a moment where I was crying in my bathtub, because I have literally started or tried every business idea you can think of. So when it all started back in, must have been like 2011 or something, when I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. And I was a telesales person in the IT, and I was reading this book. I didn't even want to read this book. It was basically given to me by one of my colleagues, Emily, and she was just like, you need to read this book. You need to read this book. And after a while, you're just like, all right, I'll give it a try. A restaurant. And I was
my back.
And within like the first 10 pages, I realized that this guy is in exactly the same spot that I am in, or was in the same spot that I am in right now. And he was just like, look, I work for telesales, work for Dell, did the whole EMC thing. And EMC at the time was a project that I did as well, completely irrelevant anyway. And that book was basically the reason I was just like, wait, I can be my own boss.
Wow.
I've never thought of that before. Because when I came out of college, I always have to think of the words in German and English. When I came out of Germany, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to study because I wanted to go to university, or so I thought I did. So being self-employed never really was an option for me. Mm-hmm. And when I then read this book, I was essentially trying every business idea that I could think of, from copywriting, translating. I thought the first one was actually translating because I thought, hey, I'm German, I speak reasonably well English. Let's do this. I did cleaning houses for rich people. I was a VA. I created my own creams, like I did my own cosmetics. That was actually quite fun, but really hard.
Yeah, I did
all of the things. And at one point, I stopped all of them because they either bored the tears out of me because I'm someone who wants to do all of the things, or it just was too expensive to keep up, like the creams. Doing their own cosmetic certification processes are a nightmare.
Well, I could imagine.
And I sat in my shower one day and I thought, just cried, and I thought, holy shit, maybe they were right. Maybe I should just get a job, because every time there was Adina again with another business idea, and everyone was just like rolling their eyes, and even preemptive rolling eyes was happening before he said that I had a new idea.
I know that. I know those rolling eyes. I know those.
Sorry, am I allowed to?
Yep. Well, you can, but I'm going to take the video down real quick after, because I figure all of a sudden Facebook is banning and taking them down. So I'm going to download it right away so it's still there. So we can say what we want, and then right after I'll download it. You're good. Yeah, it's not good things. They're just pulling stuff down immediately. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to download it. So you're good. Speak freely.
Speak freely. So yeah, there was, and I just thought, fucking hell. Am I just meant to stay in a job like this? This was really, and I mean, the frustration I felt back then doesn't really come out right now because it's real late in the evening here. Oh. And I'm just, because I'm so happy right now, it's just probably the frustration doesn't even come out. But then I sat in my bathtub and I was literally sort of crumbling together, where I thought, this cannot be happening. I do not want to be an IT salesperson for the rest of my life. There has to be more, especially because there were a few superiors that just, I don't know, I don't do well with taking orders, and therefore the people that work above me don't do well with me either. So, it wasn't easy for the synergy, let's put it that way. And it's, bless them. Everyone had to have a lot of patience with me. Well, anyway, so then I basically found out that I heard Marie Folio talk for the first time. She was just like, I did business coaching. I'm like, the fuck is that? I looked into it, and then I thought, this is it. I've been doing this my entire life. I've always been seeing what everyone else is good at, how they can make it better, how they can make money from it. Like, this is it. 2.5 years later,
here you are, and rocking it, rolling it right out. You are doing fabulous. So I'm going to share, because I've kind of been following along, and your path has changed just a little bit since we started. And so Adina often posts some of her success stories, and you had some amazing success. Do you want to share? I know just recently you posted one. It was super exciting, and I was like, oh, that's so great for the woman that you were helping. Do you want to share? Is that?
Absolutely, yeah. I love sharing my clients' success stories. So one of the most recent one was Lacey. She's a sex coach, and basically she came to me, bless her. She needed to know how to actually close sales calls and how to go into the high-end space and really how to make more money than she was doing right now. Mm-hmm. And we're still working on the official testimonial, so I can't go too much into the story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No worries.
basically what has happened is about 10 days, 11 days after we've had our very first sales training call, she was closing, bang, not booked, bang, 11.25K US dollars, when before that it was like almost close to none, maybe a K here and there.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. And I keep seeing these success stories. So whatever you're doing it right. And, you know, I think you're so motivational. I think your story is one that most entrepreneurs can identify with. Like me, you say your story and I hear my story in you. So, and I think that's why we clicked right away, because I kind of had this, I could just see all of the things you're doing, like that. I did, that's what I did. And now that's where I am. What are you talking about? so much inspiration. So I'm so happy for you. And I'm so excited for you. It's great to see it kind of moving along. So along that theme, and you're talking to women that are trying to close these deals and trying to make money, there must have been a point when you were doing your business coaching that you realized that women are totally undervaluing their time and their skill set, because that's usually what ends up happening, and how you kind of say, oh, I'm not worth that. So like, when did you kind of pinpoint that out as being a problem and a contributor to these women not being successful ultimately?
I think that happened subconsciously very, very early on, because I mean, if I go right back, I essentially have a long lineage of women in my family who either were relying on their husbands for money, or they, when they did do work, it was very often backbreaking work. I mean, just recently, I didn't even know this, my nan on my father's side, she worked on a farm and she was riding an ox. I mean, an ox.
She did whole broad.
Have the thing that you attach at the back. I can't even think. Those
yokes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yoke? Yeah.
And was riding the bloody ox. How cool is that? Basically, like, everyone always did this backbreaking work, and then as I went into school, there were all of these girls who I admired, who then kept always saying things like, oh, I'm not good enough and I'm not going to make this. And then that same pattern repeated itself when I went to start working for myself, or working in corporations rather. And I saw all of these women that I was looking up to, and I just didn't understand how it did not compute how they could stand there saying, oh no, I can't go for the managerial position. Oh no, I can't build my own business. And I'm like, why? But why? Well, I've got kids and I've got a mortgage. And I'm like, but that shouldn't stop you. I mean, I moved country, the point. Right? I'm like, I moved country when I was 19. What do you mean you can't? Yeah, I wish I could. And I got so sick of hearing, I wish I could, that at some point I just thought, well, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to have to do it so that they can see it's possible, that the small town girl, small village girl from the north end of Germany, where no one even knows what the fuck its name is. Everyone outside of Germany is just like, is it close to Berlin? About 2.5 hours north.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give directions.
Just give direction. I just got so sick of women constantly saying, I wish I could, or no, I can't. Like, always these barriers that were around it. And so I thought, well, if you don't believe me that you can do it, I'm going to have to do it, so that hopefully that'll give you some fire up your ass. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need. I think there's so many excuses, and I think some of them are self-limiting on themselves, right? It's like, if you say you can't do it, then you can't do it. Then there's no claim. If you don't do it and you're not successful, you already said you couldn't do it. It's this like big, ugly, vicious pattern.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? It's just like, because no one can argue with what's in your head.
Oh, exactly. Why would you? You're just a nutcase then. You're just a nut job after that. Right? So like, and then when you will kind of recognize that, and then now you're trying to help these women understand. So like, why do you think that they actually sell them? Like, what is the underlying thing that's making them sell themselves short, besides their own self-limiting beliefs? What makes them undervalue and not give their services appropriately and for the right amount? Like, what is it that underlying thing that's doing that to them?
I think there are a few sort of layers involved with them. I think one of the biggest issues that we have these days is comparison, for sure. And I know it sounds very cheesy. It sounds very like, oh, I've heard comparison quite a few times, and I get it. But I mean, if we look at social media, like being an entrepreneur has almost been romanticized to a certain extent, with some model-like goddess taking a picture of herself by the beach, putting her laptop in the sand. By the way, don't do that. It's really bad.
It's a nice shot, but it doesn't really work out in the long term.
Right? But it's just like, oh, I'm just traveling. But there is a lot of fucking hard work involved. I mean, building the foundations, especially not so much even on the business of itself, but here, I mean, you almost have to like become a phoenix, where you break something down, where you burn something down, some of your old beliefs, the systems, but because you're comparing yourself to other people, where it's just like, oh, Selena's at this point in her life, well, I'm behind. I'm probably a bit slower than I wanted to be. And we've talked about this as well at one point where it was where the conversation did go. It's just like, oh, I probably should be doing this. Like, no, fucking stop. Because if there was one right pace, if there was one right way, if there was one right everything, like people like me wouldn't exist. I would be jobless.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, we talk about comparison all the time. It's for bloggers anyways. I mean, and everybody does to your own industry. But when you're looking at your industry, you don't generally look at all the people starting out, because everybody is looking at the person that's above that. That's how you grow and that's how you learn. And so it's natural to like pick the people who you see in your business, because those people were where you were crying in a bathtub one day, and I think that those comparisons kill you in terms of valuing yourself and your time, as you're like, well, I'm not there. I can't put that dollar value on myself. Right.
But you know what? Sorry, that was okay. I just got this, and you know what? The crying in the bathtub, I still sometimes do that, because sometimes business is really fucking hard. While I like to, and I'm very transparent when I work with my clients, for instance, while I'd like to always share the good things, and obviously sharing the great things is really good because it creates an environment of celebration, which is exactly what I want. I want to celebrate the good things. But let's not be fooled. There are times when everything just feels really fucking hard, and I am sitting on my sofa, I'm sitting in the bathtub, and I'm exactly there back again. And I think we forget that. I think we forget that no matter how much money we earn, no matter how successful we are, there's always gonna be a shit sandwich, as Mark Manson would say.
Yes, a shit. Yeah, I bet. I like that shit sandwich. I'm totally, yeah. And I think if you can look at that and say they are going to go through those same things that you are, it's just a learning process. It doesn't mean you're less valuable or less, your skill set is less or whatever it might be. So you're not less just because you're crying more in the bathtub. Right?
No, you're not. It's just part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So then what tips do you offer some of your clients, especially new entrepreneurs that are kind of just freshly getting in the business, maybe haven't gone through those big cycles and saw all of that, to help them be more confident in their business and know their worth from the get-go?
One of the things, and I think I'd be very interested to hear what how you and your audience go about this. The people that usually come to my end, they're very afraid of being visible, and they're very afraid of pissing people off by saying the wrong things, by not looking the right way, by maybe saying something that could potentially be controversial. And I mean, you know me, you've read some of my posts, and some of the stuff that I talk about, I mean, I've had people tell me it's just like, girl, that's just not professional. But I think at some point we have to stop worrying what the traditional meaning of professional is and start thinking about what we would like to do. I like to sort of compare it to, do you watch Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, what my reference is totally lost on you. No. But for anyone who does watch Game of Thrones, basically Daenerys Targaryen then says, I'm not trying to stop the wheel. I'm trying to break the wheel.
Ah.
And that's essentially what we all have to do. And if I can say one thing, always charge for your services. Whether you're a beginner and you have just had your idea yesterday, or whether you are someone who is experienced, always charge for your services. The one thing that I see women do over and over and over again, aside from being afraid that they piss someone off, by the way, we may have to embrace that, because if we're not polarized, we don't stand out. That's the way I see it. But charge for your services early on, and don't look at whether Tanya over there is selling the same services for $70 an hour, and so you do it for 69, but give even more time. No, that's not how this should go. Because what we do when we look at other people's prices is we take on their limiting beliefs about money as well. And then basically you've just doubled up on them, and that sucks, and that's holding so many people back.
And I'm glad you pointed that out. And you make a really good point there, because I think we often, in blogging, we are, that is one of the things we're all afraid of, is because we're writing content all the time, and we're putting out our thoughts about what it is that we're writing about. And so we are called out on it. And probably one of the biggest limiting factors in the beginning for a lot of bloggers is being afraid to write content that goes outside of that cookie cutter content box, where you're writing, for a specific audience, that you're writing something that they might want to hear, or what they've been told before, regurgitated 15 times. And because you're afraid to stick yourself out there, that somebody's going to call you on it. And I think very early on, I realized that I did try to fit in that cookie cutter little content box, and it didn't work out very well for me because I couldn't write anything. So I find when you're stumbling and you're stuck, it's probably because you're not writing how you would actually write. It was too stuffy. So I think you're totally hit that on the head for sure. And then money-wise, it is oftentimes, so for me, blogging about blogging, so not everybody's blogs about blogging, other people blog about other stuff, but you I don't know what they blog about, but I just want to blog about blogging. And the first thing I did when I was creating my course, which is launching tomorrow, and some of my other products, is I went to other blogger sites. And you want to look and see, well, how much do they charge? And is that going to be reasonable? And is somebody, they've been going for 10 years and their course is only this much. And unless I stuff mine full and kill myself to have this 3-month course with all this extra stuff, how can I possibly charge anywhere near what they're charging? And you're right. And it's just like this thing. But I think I had to break out of that idea and that scope and say, what feels comfortable? Like, I'm giving this information, it's worth it. Do I believe in it? And if I believe in it, I think whatever value I put on it, if I can get behind it, that's a big deal, right? So I totally, I think you're totally right about those things. And in blogging land, that's what I call it.
Do you know what the beauty is? What I personally found out too late, but luckily not teach too late, is that trolls and negative comments and people who incite discussions, there's something positive about them, which is really interesting, which we don't see, right? And the positivity is that it pushes stuff out to more people, which means it's free marketing. And while this person is horrible, and of course that is never going to be right, inciting discussion is not a bad thing. Actually talking about something and standing by your opinion, regardless as to whether or not someone is, being a little bit nasty or not. Sometimes someone can just have a friendly conversation and say, like, look, I don't really agree with this. So you can then voice your opinion as to why this is, and there's no problem in being swayed, right? But if you get like trolls or people who are just outright nasty, I'd like to look at it as free marketing, because if I think about it as a personal attack, that crushes me.
Yeah, it's tough to deal with.
Right? And so I like to think of it as, you have just wasted energy on something that I have written, which means I've done something right, which means I have triggered you massively, which means I've triggered other people as well. But on the other hand, is you're sitting there while you are
It's my dog. Sorry.
While you are sitting there trying to make me angry, what you're actually doing is you're pushing my content out to so many other people as well.
Absolutely. I guess, you know what, that works in marketing for all kinds of things, right? People look for bad publicity is still publicity, right?
I'm not saying look for bad publicity, but I'm saying that's something that we're avoiding. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I like to see the positive. They've wasted time, not me.
Yeah, true enough. That's awesome. So another thing I wanted to bring, because you have this fantastic, I mean, she's full of fantastic things, obviously. I love her to death. She's, I go back when I'm having a stuff moment, I'm like, hey, Adina, I need your help, please. So she's always very good with me. But you have also an incredible book that I wanted to talk about that talks about some of these things. And I just wanted you to share a little bit about your book and how we can find you and how we can find more of you and get, you know, maybe if you're looking for a coach, Adina is the best. And yeah, all of her intentions are very good. And I just love your vibe. So I think if you could share your book and tell us about it. And that's kind of, I think, you know what, that might be actually what was one of the triggers. You might have been, was that before? I think maybe was your book just coming out when we maybe met?
You said we started messaging on July 3rd, right?
July 3rd. Maybe it was just after that. Maybe you were just finishing.
At the beginning of June.
Yeah, you know what? I think that maybe I had responded to one of your posts about your book. That's maybe how, I was trying to think. It was driving me crazy. I can't remember exactly where we connected, but I think it might have been about your book and that it wasn't out yet, I don't think. But anyways, tell us about your book.
So the book was actually quite funny. It wasn't actually meant to be a book, funnily enough. It was meant to be an opt-in. So before I changed direction and gone into the high-end space, I was still working with women on their side business and helping them sort of create things. And then I found out that I'm actually just really good at selling. And so I wanted to give that knowledge to other people. So the book in and of itself is basically almost like the step before to create a business, but also to sort of take the foundations and get them. It's basically every step that I have taken and things I have learned from myself in order to build the business in like the first year and a half that I had. And it has some elements of sales in there, but it also has some idea creation in there. It literally goes into the nitty gritty. It's chock full of block with a little toolkit list at the end with everything that I needed, because that's something that I really needed. I'm just like, well, where do I even find all of this shit? It was just like, okay, what is Weebly? Like, I had to research everything.
I know. It's so time consuming.
I know. And so that's basically, I have this book is the, you know, if anyone needs a little bit of help in the journey in the beginning of how do I even find an idea? And sometimes, I don't know, have you ever done the Myers-Briggs?
Yes.
So I'm a campaigner.
When I was quite young. I'm sure I'm something entirely different now. You know, I should do it again. I think I was about 15 or something. We had to do it in school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I'm a campaigner. And you know what? That Myers-Briggs test actually opened up so many gates for me, because basically what has happened up until then, I always thought that I was broken because everyone in my family knew what they wanted to do. My mom wanted to be a nurse. My dad wanted to be an engineer. My brother wanted to do something with law. Like, everyone knew what I wanted to do except Adina. And I had this peer pressure almost where everyone else knew around me what they wanted to do. And I sort of thought, Meredith Grey looks like she has a lot of fun. If I can get her make Dreamy, I'm down for doctorates. That's literally what I thought.
Whatever works.
With Myers-Briggs, it explained a lot for me, because it's just like basically the way they explain the campaigner is just like, it's not that you can't settle on one thing. It's just that you think that so many other things are cool too. And I'm like, yes, this is me. I want to do everything.
All of the things. Yep.
Literally. And, this is where I go back to the book is sometimes while I talk about idea creation, sometimes the best thing you can do is actually just go out and do, which is what I had to do.
All of the things.
The thing hit me in the face.
Yeah. And I totally hear you. I'm almost through your book. I started it when it came to Canada. Remember, I couldn't first get it when it came out. Remember, I was having a hard time. And maybe I didn't have the right link, and then I got the link from you. That's what it was. I think I thought I couldn't get it, and then I got the right link, and then I ordered it. And then I got about halfway through, and then it just sat. And it's been in my to-do book. I was going to take it to Mexico, but it's on my computer, so I didn't have it with me when I got there. I was like, oh, I really just want to finish this book. But I think people can identify. And when you're an entrepreneur, I think so many of us do that exact same thing. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Like, I was a mystery shopper. Jesus, a mystery shopper. It's like, who does these kind of weird things? Like,
I always wondered how you could become one. When I worked at a restaurant, we had them, and everyone started panicking because it's just like, we don't know who they are, but we know that they're the last day. So guys, you better
get it together.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. When I worked at 7-Eleven, we had them there, and I failed every mystery shop I had. And so I was like, how do you be that person that fails the person that's trying to do their job? So then, then I was a mystery shopper. That was fun times. Anyway, yeah. So like weird jobs. And then you just one day realize you're like, okay, like there's a reason for this. You have an entrepreneurial mind. You have this idea in you and this drive and fire. And I think your book really kind of gives that sort of drive, that beginning stages, that where to go. I'm shuffling around. Where is it that I'm getting here? So if you're watching and you're not sure of the path, Adina's book is we'll drop the link for that book in the comments here for sure, so that if you want to grab it. Where else can we find you? So we can find your book, we can find you here, obviously, but where's the best place to connect with you?
Actually, Facebook is the best place to connect with me. So definitely, let me, if you're watching this right now and you just want to hang out and just sort of say hi, or maybe you've got another question about something, then find me on my profile and just send me a friend request. But make sure that you also send me a message, because and I'm not trying to brag here, but I get so many friend requests on a daily basis. I don't look at the ones that don't send me a message, because otherwise I would not have any space for any friends. Otherwise, I am starting to hang out on Instagram again as well. And yeah, definitely on my website. So this is the 3 ways that you can hang out with me and you go with me. And if you ever do want to go into the high-end sales and you want to find out how, when you go from beyond reading the book to starting your business and you want to go into the high-end space, well, you know where to find me.
I'm just going to pop your website on here. So it's Adina Kroll, I didn't say that right, .com. just like it says.
Just like whatever it says.
Whatever it says. Huh?
I'm so excited. I'm like a little schoolgirl with this software, because usually I just do my Facebook lives. Either I do them on Facebook or on Zoom, but you can like insert this like a new, new people from watch this. CNN.
Watch, this is quite fun. Yeah, here, we'll watch this. We'll do.
Oh my God.
I know, it's super fun.
I don't know how to be an adult if I try. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I tried to do this Facebook Live thing, but it sucks because you got these you only get like a little thumbnail of somebody and you're like half on somebody's head. I don't like that.
Do it sideways.
Yeah, I tried that. It didn't work out very well for me. This is funner. And so if anybody has any questions, then we can show here. I'll show you this fun. See when somebody has a question. Lovely Felina says cool. It is pretty cool, Pauline.
It is pretty cool. Look at that. Yeah, definitely.
I know it's very techie. It's the techiest thing I have. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'll hang out here for a couple minutes.
We'll hang out for a few more minutes. Absolutely, I'd be interested. So who is actually watching? Who are these lovely ladies? I wanna know who's online, because I'm just really. I want to say curious, but I'm just nosy.
Okay, so nosy, I'll pop up the thing. So that Felina Johnson is actually my, she's my big cousin. She was my big sister until I got siblings. And in my small town, we didn't have really friends. We had cousins. So she was like my big, she is like my big sister. She's about 7 months older than me. So she doesn't live here, so we don't get to see each other very often. So it was a surprise that she was on. So that's super cool. It's nice to see her hanging out.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet everyone else as well. But it's just like I've just seen a comment from Felina, so it's very nice to meet you.
And then let's see, we got Jess Dowell is also, I don't know, she thinks she's still on. Jess is amazing. She has a blog called Confessions of a Boss Babe. I love her blog, and she's so awesome. She's always participating in my blogging group, and she's fantastic. So love Jess. And she's on here. She usually tries to catch on when we can. We're all over the place. I never have any set time, so I try Sundays, but all over. Oh, thanks, Blaine. Yeah, and I think that's it for ladies watching. Like I said, we're all over the place, so I didn't. That's why I don't know how to get the comment.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Jess.
Yeah. Oh, there's Jess. There we go. Yes, and Jess is. I love her. She's just fantastic. She's great. I don't know. This is one thing that I've learned from being part of the blogging community is it's such a community, and not just blogging. It's kind of like how I met you. It's the entrepreneurs, the bloggers. It's not what I thought. I've been part of lots of MLMs in the past, and it's not the same feeling. It's, some of them, I had met some very great people and worked with some great teams, but overall there's a real feeling of competitiveness, competition and comparison in those industries, I find. And I kind of thought that blogging would be very similar. And I learned really quickly that you actually aren't going to get anywhere very far being an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, or a blogger without help. And
no,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we both know, right? So I actually have a business coach myself. So yeah. I
even coaches need coaches. I say it all the time.
We do, and actually, it's a criteria for me when I do hire another coach. So I level up. I either level up with the coaches that I work with, or if we're then at the same level, I look for the next one up. But I always see that they have coaches so that I can see that they're looking to develop themselves as well. And really, just like you said, we just can't do it alone. That was such a massive lesson for me to learn, because I could have shaved years of my entire journey of not earning a penny. Like I didn't have 2 cents to rub together for a while. And I know it sounds cheesy in a way. It's just like, well, what's a coach going to do? But the way I quite like to say it is just like, well, millionaire footballers get coaches, millionaire singers get coaches, millionaire bankers get coaches. And it's just like, who are we to think when we're at the bottom that we don't need them? Am I saying go for high end immediately? No, of course not, because you might not be able to afford the 6-figure coach right there and then. But get something. It doesn't even need to be a coach. Get a mentor, get a mastermind.
Something. Oh, yeah, and you know what? This actually showed up in, I don't know if it was my group or somebody else's group, and somebody had said something about, what do you think about getting coaches when, how much would you even think about investing in a coach? And I don't know if it was a coach fishing for marketing information, or it was actually somebody wondering about having a coach. And right away, the feedback was pretty quick to say, well, why would I get a coach? I can't afford that. I'm at this level or whatever. And I thought right away, I was like, no. And somebody had posted a comment back, but I hadn't seen it right away. And I said, actually, one of the first things I did in my blog, so I have a blog coach, and you have different coaches for different things. I reach out to the person who knows what they're doing. So one of the first things I did in my blog was I called a blog coach and I said, I need help because I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to waste the time and energy, and I think I can get it done faster. And I reached out for email marketing within my first week to Kate Rosales. She's amazing. And I did it. I had my first opt-in and I had it running and rolling, and I was getting subscribers quickly within the first week. So I could have waited and taken my time and read all these posts. And then the second example I'm going to give is actually with you. It was, I don't know, a while back when I started my services page, and I was struggling with not getting people to so I offer blog mentoring coaching services, and I think I had somebody, we were doing the email thing back and forth, and I reached out to you and I was like, like, I don't know what's going on here, and we talked a little bit about, and you said, how is she supposed to access you? It's like, I look at it like end of the aisle shopping. When you're standing in line and you think you're done, and then you're staring around, you get that chocolate bar because it's sitting right there. It was easy. You grabbed it, you left. You might not have got it if you got whipped through there quickly. So you said, install the software, get it done, whatever. And it was within like less than 12 hours. Then I had my first service call appointment. So for my first mentoring program. So reaching out to coaches, you might think it's going to cost you money and you're putting in investments, but they're all investments back right away. And so they are more valuable than almost anything I think that you could do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I remember this conversation. I remember it very well because that was one that I had to learn as well. Sorry, I'm just putting my slippers on because it's getting.
Go ahead. Oh.
I mean, I've had the exact same experience, until my coach was just like, well, how easy is it for people to actually book a call with you? I didn't even ask myself that question, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I know. It's right there. But until someone has bird's eye view on you, it's almost, we're so busy reading all of these blogs that tell us sales funnels are important. But no, not sales funnels are important. We got to do blogging. Oh, but no, blogging isn't important. We got to do email marketing. Oh, but we could go and do networking. It's just like, well, where the fuck do I even start, right?
Yes, no kidding.
And when we look at all of these things, having someone who has a bird's eye view and says, well, actually, you just need to like shove all of that shit to the side, and actually you need to make it easy for people to book you.
Exactly.
All of a sudden you get bookings, and it's just like, well, why didn't I think of that sooner?
I know, it was like the most obvious thing. And I actually went to work the next day and I said to my coworker, like, seriously not going to believe this. So I just talked to Adina and she was like, well, how do they book? Is it easy? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's not. No, it's not. It's not easy. And like, it just didn't, I mean, it's sitting right in front of me. And like, you set all the things up, you get all the things pretty, you make sure all of the links are there. But then in the end, it's like, well, how are they supposed to actually do what you ask them to do? So yes, having somebody have that bird's eye. And I like Jess's comment here that I'll definitely need a coach when I get bigger. It's good to get a different perspective. Jess, that's exactly what it's all about.
So I would like to say something to that, if that's okay with you, Jess. I know you can't really talk back right now, so I'm just going to have to assume that you say, okay, Adina, which is what I'm going to do, because that's what I do.
Yes, Adina.
A lot of people always say, I'll need to get something when I'm bigger. But this very often translates into something else as well. It's like, when I get one client, then I'll be okay. When I get one client, then I'll be okay and I can get a coach. When I get one client, then I'll be okay and I can get a coach and then I can be successful. But this is, again, a chicken and egg scenario. I'm not saying go out and get a coach immediately. But what I am saying is, it's like, when I get bigger, it's not going to happen because our brain hasn't processed what bigger means yet. And so it's one of these, I'll do it tomorrow, and then never happens. I'm not saying just that it won't happen. I'm just saying, out of my own experience, I was there as well. And it fucking sucked. I am like one of the laziest people you could ever think. And if I don't know, Sasha, if you have read one of my social media posts where I said that I'm a last minute person, literally the Costa Rica post. So if I am not 100% there and I do it right there and then, I will put it off forever.
Yes.
And so I'm very careful when I say I'll do it when I'm bigger, because this is where it's a trap. It's a trap.
It is a trap. Yes. And lots of people do it. And I think you're totally right. Yeah. You kind of get into this thing. It's like, oh, later, or, I mean, it goes the same as just like somebody like, I'll quit my job when I make this amount of money. I'll start my side hustle when it does this. There's always all these limiting. Well, half the time they don't. More than half the time they don't happen. And so then your standards are all messed up. And then where do you go from there, right?
I mean, I was exactly like that. I didn't dare quitting my job because I'm just like, oh, I just need to save up a little bit more money.
Yes.
Until at some point I was so pissed off with everything that, and this is actually a really cool story. I was gonna quit my job on a Monday in end of February. I don't remember the exact date, but it was end of February last year, because I was so pissed off, and I thought, well, I wanted to save up some more money, but I mean, I guess maybe that'll give me the fire up the ass. And they made me redundant the Friday before. So like,
oh no.
No, but it was
so good.
I obviously got the payoff.
Get out.
Because I got the pay. It was like a sign. It was like this universal sign where it's just like, look at you. And I mean, was it always easy? Fuck no.
No. So don't sit around waiting and hoping that you're going to get redundant and somebody's going to give you a get going package. So don't put that as your.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I have dragged my heels for years until I got so pissed off I couldn't take it anymore. Do I really want to just, right, Jess?
Yeah.
Do I really want to wait this long? And I am so sick of seeing women. And this is really, when I worked in IT, there were so many talented, intelligent women. And I don't know if this was the same in your industry as well, but I mean, I was in IT sales, and I had ladies there who studied HR, who studied law, who were artists, who were singers. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in IT sales?
Well,
right?
Yeah.
And they just like, oh, well, you know, I've got a mortgage, I've got a kid. And I'm like, well, why don't you already start doing a thing on the side? And it's just like, there's a comfort in a discomfort that we know. Like, the devil we know is always easier to face than the devil we don't know.
It sure is. But it's sometimes
the devil on the outside.
There's all kinds of other devils. Go and hunt somebody else down.
Don't even get started.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any more questions, but I have had such a good time. We could just go on forever and ever, I'm sure. But I have procrastinated myself. I have a ton of things to do. And I'm sure what time is it where you are? It's probably late, hey?
It's 7:30.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's not
too bad.
I thought it was like late. I'm glad.
No, luckily not too bad. I've used 7 hours. Is it so? See, I'm crap at math.
Me too. It's 25 to 2 here. It's 1:30.
Okay, yeah, so like 6 hours. So that's okay. So I've got a client who actually is 11 hours ahead of me. That's always really, really hard because bless her, she has to wake up in the morning or even her night because of the working hours. I mean, I shift them a tiny bit, but she's in Australia, bless her.
Oh, it's interesting trying to work internationally, that's for sure. But it's fantastic. I'm so glad that you could come on. I'm really glad we could do this. And this being that this is our first time talking, we always just text talk.
We voice call each other.
Because that's easier. I'm too lazy to text. And when I do, I usually talk to text and then it looks all crazy and the crazy words come out. So anyways, so this was our first opportunity to actually like talk in person-ish.
Although it feels like I've known you forever because we voice call.
Yeah, I know. And it's been less than a year and it's just been such a crazy whirlwind of a year. It's been fantastic. And I'm so happy and blessed that you could be with me on the journey because it's been amazing and you've been a great sort of support. And anyways, I'm really just wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us here and give us some inspiration and get some fire under our asses if you're out there and you're wondering what's their next step, or if you're just looking at, you're not sure what you're doing, you're not alone. There's all kinds of us out here that have done the same thing, and Adina's story speaks exactly to that. So we will drop links to how to find Adina, more of her, because you can't get enough of her. She has a great Facebook group as well, so we'll definitely post that in here. I'm going to post a link to her book so that if you want some inspiration on the go, you can get it there. And thank you all for coming and hanging out. Thanks, Felina and Jess, for coming. Thanks anybody who pops on after in the
thanks, ladies.
In the replay. Post any comments. I'll check in and we'll see. I'm sure Adina and I can check in if anybody has any comments after the fact.
Absolutely.
And what's the other thing? Oh, And so for anybody that missed it, I'm going to download this video. I'm going to put it in a post with all of Adina's answers to the questions so that you guys can come back and read it over and over and over and over again. It'll be your favorite thing on your playlist. And I'll probably post that next Friday. So yeah, I think that's it. Anybody else? Anything, Adina?
Thank you so much. And I can only reciprocate. It's been such a pleasure to finally speak to you with a face and not just a voice.
Yes, it has been wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and we'll chat, I'm sure, this week. I'll see everybody all the time. I'm here everywhere. It's fun. All right, see you later.
See you later.